Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Micro Magro Foundation LinkedIn Live with our co founder, Terrie Magro. Welcome, Terrie. So great to
Thank
have
you.
you. We have Nicole Almeida, Director of Child Life. Did I say that correctly,
You
Nicole?
did.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm Heather A. Kolar from the Heather A. Kolar Agency. We are bringing you today some incredible information to help you find three ways your company can do two things. You can fight childhood cancer and you can boost employee morale. So, if you don't know, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Isn't that right?
Yes, yes,
It
it
is.
is.
It
Yes.
is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so we're going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes together today. And we're going to go over just how can you make a big impact. Research shows that people are looking for ways to find a purpose driven life at work. Not just at home, not in the personal life, but also at work. So, if you don't know Terry's story, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Back in 2004, her and her husband, Paul, went through every parent's worst nightmare. Both of their sons, Mark and Michael, were diagnosed with cancer. And unfortunately, Michael passed. Thank God. Mark did live, but Michael passed. And now we have the Michael Magro Foundation. Since 2005, Terry and her board, 100% nonprofit board, have raised over $3.5 million, of which over 90% has gone directly to impact families who are suffering, battling childhood cancer as well. They serve over 300 families annually, and they've done it mostly, nearly all by individual donations. And so today we're going to talk about their new initiative to have corporate sponsors, corporate partnerships, which they've had in the past, but now really it's time to step up. And we're going to tell you why and the positive impact it can have on you. So, Terry, welcome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all you do and all you continue to do. Can you share with us what about your experience made you start the Micro Magro Foundation? Why do you do what you do today?
Thank you, Heather, so much. So, as you said, this really came out of the clear blue sky. I had two boys that were never sick, went just for regular school physicals and sport physicals. And then all of a sudden, Mark in March of 2004 presented with a nodule on his neck, and he fast forward is diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's in cancer treatment. And as we're going through his phase, Michael came up with what we thought was a flu. And fast forward with him, he was diagnosed with leukemia. So within a couple of months, as a registered nurse, I was totally taken off guard. I couldn't even imagine that this was happening. So, all my clinical skills I'm trying to put into motion. But honestly, as a parent, the impact is just amazing. And you try and differentiate a little bit. So as we walked this journey with the two boys, we saw how many families had a loss of income. Their bills increased. They couldn't even. There was no hope in a lot of their
No
voices
hope.
anymore. And I said to Paul, when Michael was diagnosed June 7th of '04 and passed on July 30th of '04,
Mm.
I said, we have to do something to help these families. As a clinical person, as a mother, I just can't sit behind and watch these people. They were losing their homes in the months that I was in treatment with my
And that's
boys.
because usually one of the parents has to stop working, at least one, right, to care for the
Exactly.
child.
Exactly. So you have a loss of income, your bills have gone up, and there's no way you can hold a full time job because the cancer treatment protocols are written and they're national and they stick to them as much as they can. But the child reacts as the child reacts. So now you're mounting bills. You just, there's like no hope, and you feel like everything is being taken away from you. So that's when we decided to form a 501c3, and we did it from the beginning in '05. It took a little while, of course, to incorporate, but our mission is to really be there to help the families through their crisis. And it's not money that's generated to big projects like we're not putting a wing on a building. It's all about paying their utility bills, their rent, their phone bill. People have their phones turned off,
We're
and then
giving
there's
them a
no
moment
access.
of dignity. Right.
Yeah,
You always say we're giving them a moment of dignity and a smile of hope in
It's
the
exactly
arguably the worst times in their life.
exactly. And how you're
Arguably the worst
gonna get
time.
thrown out of your home because you're back on your
Right.
mortgage. We're like, we're not gonna have that happen.
So
So
we
that
have today, we have our special guest, Nicole Almeida. So tell us how you met Nicole.
I met Nicole through this process when Michael was in the hospital more than as an outpatient, and I, again, as a healthcare professional myself, I had never really heard of a child life specialist, and Nicole is a child life specialist and really an angel herself. These are professionals that are masters prepared, and they help the children and families navigate illness, an injury, a procedure, a hospitalization, and they do that through music therapy, art therapy. They're right there with the kids and the mothers and fathers. And this one thing that really has stuck with us through all these years, they had a memory box, and Nicole had come to Paul and I and Mark and said, we want to do these handprints, which is a legacy of your child. So we did these handprints. It's each one of us,
Incredible.
and that is hanging in our home proudly. It's so simple, something so simple, but that's what child life does. They simplify the catastrophe and they just make you feel calm.
Like a
And it
family.
was family, right? They just
Yeah.
keep family as the center, and that's how I met Nicole, and I honestly love
And
her to
this was
pieces.
done, you said, the day before
The
Michael
day before
passed.
he passed, yeah, because we knew that we were in a very, very bad place at that point. So Nicole, on behalf of all the families, we're all very grateful. She's fantastic, and so of course she had to be on my board.
Of course. So, Nicole, tell us, thank you for all you do, because I can't imagine a family's mindset, their spirit, when they know their child is about to pass, and you say, come on, let's do a family activity together. That must
Yeah.
be priceless to bring them together as a whole family. So, tell me, that was your first encounter 20 years ago with Terry. Why have you worked so long? What do you love most? Why have you worked so long with MMF, the Michael Magro Foundation, and Terry? And what do you love most about working with the organization?
Sure. So, thank you, Terry, for the kind words. I cannot believe we've known each other for over 20 years. A little bit about me is I literally started working as a child life specialist 2 months before I met Terry. So, she's been on my journey this whole time. So, she will always have a special place in my heart. But I love working with her and the foundation because she comes from a unique perspective. She's been there, she knows what it feels like, and she's willing to help in any way possible. I call her my fairy godmother almost every day. It could be something as simple as the arts and crafts necessities that we need on a daily basis, or it could be just a family that's going through an unfortunate end of life situation. No matter what it is, she's there to help, and she does it almost instantaneously. There's no red tape, there's no questions. It's just, what do you need? I'm going to try to get it to you. And she usually does it within a turnaround. I would say if it takes a day, that's a long time.
Right.
So not only is it somebody I can rely on to make a difference in these families' lives, whether it's small or big, but she makes it easy. And there's
So
no
tell us, what I didn't mean to cut you off. Tell us, what are some of the things that people actually need the most that we're not even aware of? What do families need when they're going through therapy, treatments, and you're just like, wow, this is a huge need.
right.
And
So
Terry steps in.
So, just to kind of expand a little bit on what we do in child life, we normalize the hospital experience. So, whether it's through education, whether it's through arts and crafts, whether it's, legacy building things that we do not have a budget for anything. So, we depend on organizations to donate things. And Terry is our go to person for that. So, it could be something as simple as, oh my God, we don't have batteries to run our um, mobiles for the infants that come here, or it could be something end of life where the parents, like we said before, have one income.
Right.
They don't want to think about how they're paying for a funeral for their child.
Oof.
And so when it's happening, I know I can call out to Terry, and she will, without question, help them out in any way possible. So it can be as simple as AA batteries, arts and crafts supplies, to go bags, or end of life stuff. She really is there to help from the smallest need that we have for these families, and we get to know these families inside and out.
I can imagine. Yeah, because they're leaning on you so much. The needs are so great. So thank you so much, Nicole. I know
Of
your work
course.
is just priceless and your attentiveness to the families there. So Terry, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Can you talk a little bit about the increasing diagnoses that we're finding across the nation when it comes to childhood cancer?
Yeah, it's astounding, actually. Cancer is the number one cause of death of a child under 18 in the United States, the number one cause. And one in 285 children is diagnosed with cancer by the time they're 20 years old. So that's
Wow,
that's pretty dramatic.
significant,
And the
very dramatic.
unfortunate thing is 1 in 6 diagnosed will not survive. 1 in 6. Um, and some of it is due to different variables, but honestly only 4% of the federal government cancer research budget goes to pediatric cancer research, so we need to increase that as well. There's lots
We
of
need
work that needs to be done.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we're here today, right? So you have done an incredible job, Nicole, all of your partners, Terry, again, as a team, as a small committed team of people committed to make a difference, you've raised and given away over $3.5 million directly to families, 100% volunteer board. So what we want to share right now, we mentioned it earlier, but people are looking for purpose at work. They want to work with a company that has a positive impact in the community. And right here on your page, right on the Micro Magro Foundation page, we have 5 main reasons why people should become a corporate, why companies and decision makers should become a corporate giving partner with you. And the first thing is that giving back is good, right? It
Yeah.
boosts employee morale, it boosts company loyalty, it's just a great way to get higher engagement performance and for people to feel good about coming to work. It's free publicity, so there's tons of sponsorship opportunities and just getting your name out there by doing something good in the community. And people, we always like to work with companies that we know, like, and trust. That's huge, right? Employee benefits, getting your community, your team out into the community to build more relationships, have a great presence, because there's a lot of events that you host, which we'll talk about throughout the year. You're definitely going to gain customer support. And then there's always the tax deductions, right? It's a great way to save a little bit of money or maybe a lot of money on your taxes at the end of the year. So, those are some of the 5 reasons. I think most people know that it's important to get involved. You recently had a great opportunity where a great event, really, it was beyond an opportunity, actually happened, where Amazon, a household name, came and did some work with you. We hope to bring them on one day soon on your LinkedIn lives. So those are the 5 reasons, but here are the 3 ways. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 3 ways. We have corporate sponsorship. So we say nearly all of the money has been raised by individual contributions, but you actually have had corporate donations in larger sums before. Do you want to share anything about that? Why did companies choose to give to you?
Well, the companies choose to give to us once they have the opportunity to learn what the mission is and the fact that we are an all volunteer board. So they know that the money is going direct to the cause. So the mission and the vision is matching with the company. So we've gotten, checks from some companies that were 50,000. We've gotten some that were, 70,000, 25,000. And, the employees today want to participate in companies that do this. So, we can start with matching gifts. We can do some, small end things, little things. Employees like to have a purpose. So if
Yeah.
we give them, make these
If they
distraction
know,
days,
yeah,
they
we'll
know.
we'll 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 get to the other things, but let's stay on the corporate sponsorship
Oh,
right
okay.
now, okay?
Okay. Sorry.
That's
So,
okay, 'cause
we have
there's
a
just
few
so
different
much. Mhm.
levels of corporate sponsorships,
Yes.
as far as like a diamond level would be a $25,000 donation. And then they would be involved in all the events. They would have the year-long promotion, networking, be able to have tickets to events. A gold
What
level,
kind what kind of events are we talking about?
the
These are
golf.
actually very very popular events, so let's
Yeah,
not play
they
them
are.
down.
They are.
Extraordinarily well attended. The creme de la
The go
creme of Long Island comes. So
the
tell
golf
us
outing,
about
our
this.
golf outing is really, you talk about, they sold, it sells out before we even know, that we're advertising it. So it's a great event, great networking. So that golf event, our car show is, we get hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds of people that
You have your
attend these
tasting
events.
coming up. So
The
if you like
tasting,
anything we're talking about,
yeah,
instead of buying a whole bunch of tickets to a tasting, you can become a corporate partnership. You can establish a corporate giving partnership with the Magro Foundation and actually get your tickets
yeah.
included with the bonus exposure and be highlighted at these events. So I'll just go over this real quick because I know you're itching to talk about all the other stuff. So we have the diamond level, which is at $25,000. You get 8 tickets to the signature annual golf event, which is the biggest, right? You get two foursomes. You also get 10 tickets to the upcoming tastings, and then you also get access to all of the sporting events, the car show, all of the sponsorships get newsletter mention, and you're featured on the website. We then have the gold level corporate partnership for $15,000, where you do get a foursome. You also get tickets to the tasting, and you get the publicity in the newsletter and the website. And then for our beloved silver level partners for $7,500, you get tickets to the annual tasting event, and you get the promotion online and in the newsletters, which are sent out twice a month. So there's a lot of activity that you get there, a lot of exposure. And, we're talking about a nonprofit that is highly 2 times the best of Long Island,
Hmm.
right? 2 times the
Yes.
best of Long Island, so lots of recognition, solid, well recognized in doing what they do. And then because Terry's such a community person, for businesses that have at least 25 employees, they can adopt MMF, right? They can adopt Michael Magro Foundation as your charity of choice and then get that real interaction, right? You'll come out to the company, you'll do an on-site visit, really engage with the employees, and that's where things like the matching gifts, volunteer
Mm.
opportunities, and access to the sporting events. Come on, because you're a community person, Terry. I mean, you're a
Yes,
nurse. We
very much.
know we love our nurses. They're the ones who bring us together and keep us together. So that's really important. And then the third choice, and I'll put up this QR code for anyone. If you would like to make a donation while we are here, you can simply scan this QR code and make a one time donation. So that's always available. But, Nicole, you started to talk about the needs that families have, right?
Mhm.
You know, Terry just she has the firsthand experience. So she's just like, look, when kids are going through treatments, accidents happen. And sometimes families and kids run out of PJs, they run out of underwear, they need sweats. Imagine if you're a child going through cancer treatment, all you have is your hospital gown,
Mm.
right? Nicole, you started to talk about distraction bags, right?
Yes.
Tell us what's the purpose of distraction bags?
Yeah, so, nobody wants to come to the hospital in any way, whether it's to the ED or to be admitted. And I think, nobody's expecting to be here. And so these bags go a long way in terms of making it a normal experience for these kids. They contain, what do kids use? Play Doh, crayons, coloring books. And it's in the age that we're living in and infection control things, we can't reuse anything. So it's a
Mm,
one time use. We go through these things very, very quickly. Um, you know, Obviously we don't want kids in the hospital, but they come in, every day, hundreds of them. So Terry has been instrumental in providing these to go bags for us, where it's something where we're checking in on every kid, seeing how they're doing, and it's something we can leave. It's something that keeps them being a kid in a scary, frightening environment, and it allows the parents to focus on what the doctors are saying because the kid's
mm,
engaged in an activity. It's
wow.
something very easy for us to do to help these families, but we cannot keep up with the demand. And Terry is amazing. And, probably once a week we'll drop off some bags to us sometimes. We go through them so
Right.
quickly, and to keep up with that demand is almost impossible. So if people were interested in doing something like this, not only could they either A, supply the supplies that are needed, or B, maybe they can partner with actually filling the bags for us.
Yes.
So it could
And
be hands
that's what
on.
we really want to see, right? So when you choose to partner as a corporate partner with MMF to do the distraction bags or the desperately needed items, you get a chance to put your logo on the bags that everything
Mhm.
is going to be filled with. You get to do the team building, with your company. I always say, even if you have children, if you know you're going to buy underwears and pajamas for a child that's fighting for their life who's battling cancer, that's a whole experience in and of itself. I don't care if you're buying it from Amazon, right? You're going to feel a certain way. You're going to have purpose in that, knowing this little this little action is going to make a huge difference, right?
Mhm.
Because I love what you said, Nicole. Trying to make the hospital experience
Yeah.
normal as it can be in these horrendous circumstances. And that's what we're talking about today, right? How can we make life a little bit simpler, a little bit more normal when you're going through the worst scenario that you could possibly ever go through? So there's so many ways. Go ahead, Nicole.
And
Yes,
I just
please.
wanted to add that, like, while a pair of underwear or a pair of pajamas or a to go bag doesn't seem like a big deal, it makes an impact. And that's what the kids and the families remember. You know, we have a playroom that these kids can go to, and all of the supplies that the Michael Magro Foundation gives us is there for their use. And so, kids leave here sometimes forgetting all the awful things that they deal with, and they go home with a goodie bag, and that's what they tell people about. And I
Right.
feel like, that shows the impact that these little things can really make.
Right.
I'll never forget, there was one time, we were doing an event, and all of these donated items were involved, and the kid was like, "Oh, this is my favorite hotel," and I was like, "Oh, honey, this is not a hotel."
I'm glad you feel
I
that way.
I mean, it's years ago, and it still reminds me of what, the box of crayons or that to go bag, what they're thinking and what the impact has on them. Where we're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. They're in the hospital. But
Yeah.
they're thinking it's not a
Yeah.
hospital because we're making a positive impact by
Right.
these items that Terry's able to give us. And
They
then,
want to be a kid.
yeah,
That's what they want to
That's
be.
and
They
that's what
just
it.
we
want to
focus
be
on. It's
That's
they're here
success.
and they're sick, but it's not about their illness. It's
right.
about how do we keep them a kid. And
Right.
from the Magro Foundation and from Terry's, hands-on approach to working and making it a better experience for them, they leave here with that instead of, oh, I got poked 100 times.
Yeah.
And
They leave
I
with
always
a
say
wow.
it's your tragedy to triumph story, and you're really triumphing for others, Terry,
Mhm.
Yeah,
because this is nothing anybody would choose to go through at any under any circumstances. But
Yeah.
it's because you did it, because you know the experience so intimately, your considerations are so real, right? You even talk a lot about, the child, the sibling that does not have cancer. They're often isolated because the parents are working on taking care and saving their sick child's life. And
Right.
so, and this
Yeah.
can go on for years.
Yes, yes.
This can
Cancer
go on for
treatment can go on
years.
for 2, 3, sometimes longer. If God forbid there's a reoccurrence, it goes back. So we do a lot of gift cards for these kids as well. That we'll give to that Nicole will give, or any of the child life specialists or social workers will give to the families. A Starbucks card for one of the teenagers, a Target card, something where they can just go into the store and shop or do
Do
something
something for themselves.
for themselves, and it just makes them feel good. Cancer hits the whole family unit. It's not an individual consideration, it's the whole family. And that's what we all have to remember. And unfortunately, people forget that. They're just focused on one thing. And it's very hard. And as a parent going through it, it's hard to think about anything except your child that's going through this traumatic, and
Really
you're
hard.
seeing the pain in their face and the hurt, and they're crying and they're nauseous, and
And you did it twice at the
medications
same time.
twice. The medications are causing them to have, muscle weakness, and they're falling, they're having trouble breathing. And then, your other child is asking, can he go to Starbucks? And you're like, I don't have $25 to give you a card to go to Starbucks. But that's what we're there for. We don't want any of the children in the family to feel isolated, because it's tragic. It's really really tragic. It's a horrible disease, and whether you're an adult going through it or a child going through it, it really affects the whole unit. So we are very holistic in our approach. We get our information from child life specialists and social workers, and
Mhm.
helping these people. And that's what we're looking, for, is a little bit more assistance, because the bills are astronomical and people fall behind in their utility bills.
At one
And
point, I wanna emphasize, right?
yes,
Because people lose their mortgages, they
yes,
lose their cars, they can't pay the insurance, their lights are being turned off, and it doesn't matter how much money you make. Because if
exactly,
you're making right? And you help everybody who's making a $250,000 to $20,000 because this impacts everybody equally.
exactly,
And, if you're making 200,000 and you're living off of that and half of your income or more is gone and your bills are going up, you could lose your house, right?
exactly.
So
And
the
see it. Yeah.
qualification is, do you have a child that is diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and
also
that's what we need the help for, is to really help them for the moment, just to breathe for a minute, if they can smile. But really, if we can help them move forward and pay not only one mortgage payment, but maybe two or three, so they can just get ahead
3
of the curve. That's where all the corporate donations, that money is going directly to the families to
directly to the
help them
families.
survive and be able to move forward. They have to think clearly. The parents have to think clearly about all the information overload they're getting from the physicians. And if they're worried about not having heat when they go home, that's not going to happen. They can't think.
Yeah,
You're a human being. You can
yeah.
just take so much. So we want to take some of that pressure off of them.
and I just want to piggyback for a second, and I
Sure.
think an important thing to point out from my perspective is what you said before, Terry. You get your information straight from the source, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So the main benefit that I see for that is that you're able to do and provide and give with dignity. These families don't have to ask. They're
Right.
Mm,
working with people that recognize the need and come to
mm.
you, and then you can just give it to them without them having to feel that they have to speak about it, lose their dignity, lose their pride in asking. We just are working with
Do it.
them, notice that the need is there, and then connect it, and you kind of fill that gap. So they're not like they have to ask you specifically or even think about it. It just happens.
Yeah.
And
And
I
how
think
many hospitals are you connected with, Terry?
We're in seven different states and about 16 different hospitals now, and our word of mouth all goes through social workers. So social workers are the pivot point of vetting the
The
families for
backbone.
us.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm not asking for very extensive, application process that they have to go through. Their needs are immediate. Unfortunately, people wait too long before they even bring it to their social worker, and then the social worker is like, "Oh my God, it's." Many times I'm calling utility companies and putting it on a credit card, not paying by check or any way, because they're literally at the front door waiting to shut off the electric or take the car right out from under these
right.
people. What are you going to do if you lose your
Yeah,
phone and you have no access to your physician? What are you going to do if you can't get to the hospital and you have to
yeah,
take a bus?
yeah.
We do a lot of Uber cards, we pay a lot of parking. All these things that sound so trivial to us is not trivial at all, because
No.
parking can cost you hundreds of dollars in
It
some
all
of these
adds up.
hospitals.
It
Yep.
all adds up. It
And
adds up and it adds
also,
up and it adds up.
if they
Food.
can't get there, they can't get treatment,
They can't
right?
get treatment.
So
Can't get
Exactly.
treatment. It's
Right.
like, it's the catch 22 of it all. But
Right.
now we have 3 very significant ways that companies can partner with a overly deserving organization, the Micro Magro Foundation. 90% of every dollar is going to go directly to impacting families. It is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. As Terry shared, the need is rising significantly because the diagnosis are exponentially growing. I think you said, Terry, the diagnosis doubled in the last 5 years or something
Yes.
like that
Yes.
recently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not slowing down. We
No.
need your assistance now. This is an organization that builds community. There's a lot of fantastic activities where you can meet more and more people who can testify to the impact that the Michael Marigo Foundation has on the ground directly to the people who need it most. 7 states, over 16 of the largest hospital organizations that are in the nation. And, we invite you to again scan the code if you'd like to make a donation. We're going to put Terry's cell phone back up here. Okay. you can call
Mhm.
her. Like Nicole says, if I need help, I call Terrie. I get Terrie,
Please.
you
She's my
know?
fairy
Yeah,
godmother.
just give me a call, send me the text message, and I'm glad to
Yes,
come to any company and speak with, with any group, large or small. There's never too small a donation, as well as
right.
there certainly is never too large a donation, but everything has an impact. Everything
Yes, it does.
everything multiplies as the days, months, and years go by.
Yes,
So,
yes. So awesome job. Send her another LinkedIn message. We'll make this recording available, and we hope that you choose Michael Magro Foundation for your corporate giving sponsor. Thank you,
okay.
everybody.
Thank you
Have
so
a
Bye.
much.
wonderful day.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
great one.
much. Bye bye.